pledge.
Let us stand as you're capable. Gentlemen, please remove your covers. Let us pray. Our Father and our God in heaven, we come to Thee in prayer in this season of religious observance. And whether we're lighting candles or lights on a Christmas tree or candles on a menorah, or whether we're observing it in any number of other ways by thousands of religious observations of which I'm unaware, we pray that we all recognize the spirit of brotherhood and peace on earth. Father, we ask your blessings in this manner. And Father, we pray for safety for those who will stay on duty and vigilant throughout the observance and keep us safe. And we pray for those who've been mightily offended in other parts of the world and persecuted. Those things are not right, and we pray for your divine intervention in those. Father, give us wisdom as we consider the things we're considering tonight. We pray for those who stand in the need of prayer. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Katie.
All commissioners are present.
Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a first and second to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Motion carries. This brings us to the approval of the minutes. If there's no changes to the minutes from the November 18th regular meeting and public hearing, can I get a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we got a first. Do we have a second? We got a first and second to accept the minutes from the November 18th regular meeting and public hearing. All in favor? Motion carries. This brings us to our first presentation. This is the Brunswick Judicial Circuit Drug Court update. Can you turn the mic on? Judge?
Oh, thank you. That's Stephen Kelly, a Superior Court judge. I've been here in court I just walked away from court about 10 minutes ago. We almost got finished. We still actually weren't finished with court, but I have somebody who's coming to present with me on this presentation, and they got delayed.
Okay.
And I would ask if you could just bump me down your agenda. There's several other items on the agenda that I'm very interested in. And so I would have, if y'all would do that, Mr. Chairman, I would appreciate that. Just allow that other person to get here with me in the presentation.
Okay.
I do appreciate the accommodation of going first, but there are other items I'm interested in, so I'm going to stay to the meeting.
All right,
Close to the
whenever that person gets here, if you just raise your
will.
hand or whatever, then we'll
Thank you very,
put
very
you
much.
at the next
Thank you.
opening. So, all right, this brings us to our public comment section. This is limited to agenda items only in 3 minutes. Anybody registered, Katie?
Yes, sir. Mr. John Wojcik.
Good afternoon. I'm John Wojcik, live on Clarks Bluff Road. I'm speaking on item 12, JDA. This is off the Launch Camden website, April the 14th, 2022. It states, just 3 months after entering an agreement with the City of St. Mary's to repurpose the former St. Mary's Airport into a commerce park for light industry, the Camden County Joint Development Authority has been awarded $2.3 million by the state of Georgia to help make the project a reality. Georgia New Rural Innovation Fund is designed to assist rural communities overcome barriers to economic development by providing the funding for necessary public infrastructure like roads, water, and sewer. This is back in 2022. In recent weeks, the authority announced that SG blocks and pre-engineered metal buildings will be the first tenants in the new park and will create 200 new jobs in Camden County. Executive Director James Coffin said, cooperation between the City of St. Mary's and the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, the Georgia Department of Economic Development, Representative Stephen Sains, and the JDA Board made it possible for us to commit to these companies that we will deliver what they need. Second paragraph. That upfront investment will yield hundreds of jobs and tens of millions in private dollars for our community. I'm going to repeat that. That upfront investment will yield hundreds of jobs and tens of million dollars in private dollars for our community. St. Mary's Mayor John Mosley added, the City of St. Mary's is committed to redeveloping the standard asset, as we are grateful for the state assistance in this effort. This is at the airport, the old airport. I went out there and there's a lumber yard and there's a small boat factory, but none of this has materialized. I can't wait for them to present what they want for $3 million a year for the next 5 years. I looked at the industrial park. I know you guys can do better than what's out there. I don't know if this hydrogen place is going to survive because hydrogen isn't selling that great and it's expensive to produce. You got waste management out there and you got an oil refinery, like they take used oil. But I'm waiting to hear from the JDA.
John,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Ricky Manning.
Rick Manning from Bullhead. There's several items I'd like to address, but I ain't gonna have time. So let's just start off with what we're going on number 13, and we're gonna approve more construction, spending more tax money. And here we are, we can't even afford item 14. We wanna go borrow money. But we're gonna spend more money before we even make this range legal. Let's start off, let's see. I don't even want to go into money because y'all want to know about it. You spent over $500,000 to begin with. We're already above $1.5 million, and I hadn't even added up the rest of 2025 of tax money. And here you are again. It's going to take more man hours if you add that in there. And you know it's just going to cost more money in the long run. I don't care any way you want to shake it. I can rebut anything that is told in the work session. So let's move on. Start off with, we never address safety issues out there at the gun range. Are we abiding by the DNR firearms arms range rules? Because there's the rules right there that tells you about the steel targets. You can't have them out there except for special events and with the permission of DNR. Right there, y'all signed all this stuff. I guess y'all forget what you do and what you sign. I don't know why. And then during the work session, shotguns don't make no noise. But it was stated back when on a gun range meeting, while I am concerned about the noise the range will produce, the noise will be based on the number of guns being shot at the same time. He explained more shooting at once will give out more noise. That was Mr. Casey stated that. Black and white. 12-gauge shotgun, 155 to 162 decibels. Rifles, 155 to 163. But they don't make noise. You still haven't complied with the UDCs, but yet you're going to sit here and tell us that they don't make no noise. And then here it is right here. 12-gauge shotgun blast sound can travel surprisingly far, potentially miles, especially with favorable winds, tailwinds. But you sat here and told us it ain't gonna matter. The only difference is one's a lower pitch than the other. They still travel. I sat in my house this morning and listened to gunshots inside my house again. But here you are fixing to approve this. Every one of y'all better think about what you're doing, because I'm not letting up. Make it legal.
Anybody else?
No, sir.
Anybody else wish to speak before the board? You want to come on up, Judge? We'll do your presentation.
All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all waiting. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit, give you a report on your drug court. A lot of people don't really know exactly about what a drug court is. I'm going to pass a couple of these. I want to just pass them down, and they're both the same. So that's just the annual report, 2025. The drug court in this circuit was started in 1998 by Amanda Williams. We were the third drug court in Georgia, actually in the first what we call post-plea drug court in the state of Georgia. Since then, thousands of people have graduated our drug court. We have actual courts in Camden, Glenn, and Wayne County. We also offer treatment in Appling County for the Appling and Jeff Davis folks, but they have to come to court in Wayne County. What is drug court? Drug court is a very intensive program. It is designed for folks that really show an interest in changing their lives. Some people take it just to get out of jail, admittedly, and actually I'm okay with that. It's a 2-year program where they have to come. It's divided into five phases. The first, they come to treatment every single 4 times a week usually, sometimes every day during a week. They have to go to treatment. They have to get a job. They have to stay drug free, and we test them randomly, minimum of twice a week, and it's observed. And we have lab quality machines that do that. They have to do community service to advance from phases. They have to pay $100 a month to participate in the program. It's quite intensive, and this goes on for a period. They can get through in as few as 18 months if they were a star student, I guess. Most take closer to 2 years. Some take 2.5 years to get through the program. Recovery works. And especially it works, so with the court system, we have a lot of success because unfortunately most addicts, when they go to recovery, addiction is so strong these days with the powerful drugs that are out there that people might get clean for a little while and then they just fall right back into it. And then folks that are in drug court have the added burden, or they have generally gotten involved, obviously they've gotten involved in criminal activity. Generally it's a lot of either possession cases. We don't allow, obviously, if you have a major felony case, you're not allowed in the drug court. We have people in here who have possession of drugs, entering automobiles, maybe some burglaries, depending if they don't have any other, if they're young and don't have any other kind of background. If they're first offenders and they graduate the program, then their case is dismissed. If they're not first offenders, then if they were on probation, say for entering an automobile, and they got in trouble with probation, instead of revoking them to prison, they can be revoked into drug court. And then if they successfully complete the drug court program, then we will do away with their fines and fees that they had in the other case. So there are some good benefits for that. In Camden and County, just in the last 2 years, we've had over 25 people graduate. We've had 61 individuals who we've worked with down here. That includes 45 males, 16 females. There's been 51 Caucasians, 10 African Americans involved in just in this I call a 2-year roving window. And we've administered 2,678 drug screens just in Camden County. And Camden County is actually our smallest program in the circuit. And Glenn County is quite a lot farther. We also do some specialized treatment along with medical providers. We call it medical assisted treatment, where there's folks who can get on, there's some new medicines out there, drugs out there like Vivitrol that take away the desire for opiates. And the beauty of some of those, they're once a month, they can't be abused. And if we put somebody on that, then we hopefully will get them into treatment, and that treatment will then hopefully take over. We can get them off of any type of shot or something and get them back into life. Addiction is a horrible thing. Y'all reading the paper about the fentanyl. Everything has fentanyl in it right now. We've lost a lot of folks in drug court, you know, and people in drug court have lost family members because of the fentanyl and the fentanyl abuse. Opiate abuse, which is, we'll hear about a little bit more tonight, is horrible. Somebody who is abused opiates, their brain stays in an altered state for 4 to 8 years. And that would include heroin and then your oxycodones, you know, the regular pills that you hear about on the street. That's how difficult it is in dealing with this. A person who's abusing crack cocaine, using crack cocaine, their brain will stay altered for a period of about 2 years. Even if they only abused it for about 10 days or so, their brain stays in that altered state. So we're dealing, the whole purpose of drug court is to give people a new life. And I can talk up here about stats all day long. I've been doing it for many, many years. And it's a wonderful program. But I wanted to bring somebody to you, Carly Simone, if you'll say hello.
Hey guys, my name's Carly. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity if it wasn't for drug court. My story was that, you know, I got arrested on theft and drug charges, so I was able to go to drug court, and they sent me to long-term treatment, and I was able to pay off all my restitutions. I completed drug court. I had a baby who I don't know if...
What's his name?
His name is Palmer.
Palmer? How
And
old is Palmer?
He's 5.
5 years old.
So if it wasn't for drug court, I probably would have lost him to the state. Since then, I've went to college. I've got a degree as a certified medical assistant. I bought a home. I increased my credit score from like 425 to 740. And we just moved into a bigger house. Yeah, we did move into a bigger house, and my life. Shh. Okay, enough. Thank you. You know, I have a desire to help the recovery community in this area. Currently, like working on trying to figure out how to develop a recovery community organization in this area.
You have a career now, which
I do
is-
have a career. I am a telehealth medical assistant, so I call people all day long and say, hey, your blood pressure is looking a little elevated. Are you okay? But it's the most money I've ever made in my life, and I got a passport. I went to Mexico last year, first time. I didn't even think that was going to be possible once I got all those charges, felonies, and because of drug court, I was able to get everything expunged and become like a successful member of society. My family is grateful for drug court too, because surely they thought they lost me, you know. So, anyways.
Her story is one of literally hundreds and thousands, you know, that we've had in this circuit. And a lot of times when we have graduation day, there's not a dry eye in the courtroom because of this. You know, and having children come up to me and say, thank you for giving me my parents back is very meaningful. But it's a real fight. And I could get up here and give you all the stats all day long. I know it just be glazing, but that brings it home. It's what it's all about. And we thank y'all for that. If y'all have any questions, I'll I'll certainly answer them at this time.
Judge Kelly, we spent a lot of time in one of our last meetings talking about the jail population here. What, without digging too deep into this, what would our jail population look like without your drug court intervention program?
Yeah, so we are mandated by the state to put into drug court those who are high risk, high need, which basically means the people that we want to put in drug court are the people that we would normally send to prison. And so that's what we're supposed to focus on. That's our mandate, but we have to. We do, every single person who comes in the drug court is given an exam, which gives them what they call an LSAM score. That's an LSI test. It gives them an ASAM score. They have to score up pretty high on that to qualify because our services are so intensive. They're not as intensive. I mean, sometimes people are so bad off that we know we can't even deal with them outpatient, i.e. we make Carly go to residential for a year. And so we have, and you know, what we do is I get somebody in jail and they need to come in I did it just a few minutes ago. Had a lady who's sitting in jail and within the next 60 days, we're going to get her a bed either in short-term treatment. Actually, we already have her a bed in long-term treatment. So, and so we're going to get her out of jail, get her in long-term treatment. There's a fund that from misdemeanor cases mostly called the DATE Fund, the Drug and Treatment and Education Fund, and it can only be used for treatment purposes, and we use that to help pay the entrance fee to a halfway house that's run by private people. And so that fund is used for that. That gets them out of the jail, gets us, you know, and you think about it, how much money have the taxpayers saved by saving her, you know, by her saving her own life, but at least be given the tools, you know? It costs $40,000 a year to house somebody in the Department of Corrections, you know, and I don't know what it costs of the sheriff here, what it costs in the county jail, but it's expensive. You know, and first heart attack they have is real expensive. And a lot of these people have health problems because of their drug abuse. But I hope that answers your question.
Anybody got anything else?
I really appreciate the work you do. Can I ask you a broader question about accountability courts as a whole?
Sure.
So does drug court take place over at the courthouse across the street?
So the actual court takes place at the courthouse across the street. The treatment takes place we rent a building down in St. Mary's
Okay.
and at a strip mall.
Is drug court daily?
It is daily. It's not with the court, not with the judge.
Okay.
So that's what gives us a little bit of confusion. So we have a staff that's in the building daily down there, and they have to report for classes. And some of the classes are in the evening, and we have various professionals that are licensed who come in and do. They have to be licensed by the state to offer treatment, you know. And so we have peer support specialists who come in and help them with their budget and their life. And then we used to have nurses, but now we have medical assistants that actually do the lab work for us, and they actually observe the drug screens, run them on the computer. When the urine is put into the machine, we test for like 18 different drugs, and if it's positive, it automatically goes into the computer, and the computer is hooked up to Atlanta. So literally, Atlanta knows everything. All drug courts statewide, our accountability courts statewide are very uniform in the sense that we all use the same computer software, and we all try to follow the best practices.
So from like a superior court judge perspective, who's familiar with accountability courts, given our high military population within the community, maybe like big picture, what do you think it would take Camden County to get into the veteran treatment courts or the mental health
Yeah,
courts?
so right now, because we haven't designated out specialty courts like veterans courts, mental health courts, your bigger cities, your bigger areas will separate those populations. We haven't done that in our area because we just absorb them kind of so in my drug court, if somebody's a veteran, and I know I've had veterans here in my court, and so sometimes then my folks the staff will reach out to Jacksonville or Dublin, where there's the big veteran centers, to get additional treatment for them just like we were a veterans court, but we don't have enough, we haven't had enough veterans to justify an entirely separate court.
Yes, sir.
And the same thing with mental health court. You know, honestly, in Glenn County, we probably have enough to separate out for mental health court. We're a little challenged geographically. We're allotted 5 Superior Court judges, but we have 5 counties, and it's 150 miles from St. Mary's to Hazelhurst, Georgia. And so, and we have to cover all 5 counties. And so it's just a little difficult to have the Superior Court staff to have that many courts.
Understood. No,
Yeah, but that, it's, and we certainly, so what we've done is we've
Caught
just.
my attention.
Yeah, so what we've done is we basically, I don't refuse anybody in drug court. I mean, we have what we call it co-occurring disorders. And so we have people who have mental, one of the persons that pled in today has some, actually, one who was revoked in today has some pretty extreme mental health issues, but she also has a substance abuse issue. And so, you know, we're looking to find a place that would then take her, that will, initially, that will take the mental health and we partner with, I'll do a lot of stuff with Pineland, which is out of Statesboro. They have a place called John's Place, which is a short-term residential treatment, and doesn't cost us anything. We send about 80 people there a year for 30 days to help get them on the road, get them clean. And then we either bring them back into outpatient, or sometimes we'll send them to long-term and then back into outpatient. I know that's probably a lot more information you
No,
wanted.
no, no. What you're doing, I deeply appreciate, and it sounds like an incredible asset that we have available to us here. Thank you.
We certainly want to grow it and, you know, and make it available as many as we can, because it's a win-win for county governments and the jail and everybody.
Anybody got
Anything else?
anything else?
Yeah. Judge, I've had several of my family members that have been through your drug court, and I know it's a rigid court. When they go in for the testing, they basically, if they fail that test, then they have to suffer the consequences of failing that test. I've
First
got,
time's 2 days in jail,
yeah, that's
and
right.
4 days in jail.
I've got a nephew that every Friday there for a little while, he had to go check in.
Yeah.
But he's okay now.
Good.
And then I've got a niece that did the same thing, and she's okay now because of drug court, so I appreciate that. I do have a 29-year-old niece that overdosed on fentanyl, and she didn't live. I wish she could have gone to drug court. I said all that to say this. You said the treatment center's in St. Mary's?
Correct.
What do they do? That's not an in-house living
Oh,
facility.
no,
is
no,
it?
no, it's just a storefront, I mean, just a space that they go in, and that's where we have room big enough to have groups, so we have about 10, you know, you have 10 or 12 at a group. We have to have a spare, you know, an area for the nurse in private, to meet for the drug screening, because they observe the drug screens, and we have to have a room for the lab equipment, which is very expensive.
Okay.
And so we're actually seeking, you know, seeking some more space. You know, we rent that space down there. So in Glenn County, we use, Glenn County has their old building, tax building on Gloucester Street. We've been in there for years. But, you know, so if y'all have anything that y'all can think of that we could, I'd love to actually move it closer to the Kingsland area, be closer to the interstate, because I have treatment people coming in from Glenn County, a lot of people who live all over Camden County, you know.
And they have to go to have
Every
these
day,
tests.
so transportation gets to be a real big issue, you know. Obviously, housing gets to be a big issue with this population. Sometimes that's why if they don't have housing, we have to send them, again, to long-term, just so they can have a place to sleep at night, you know.
I think that basically, the being addicted or hooked on drugs, however you want to say it, is a mental issue.
Well, so every person who is addicted to like meth and cocaine has mental health issues, because it alters the chemistry in your brain.
Right.
So cocaine actually spikes the dopamine area in your brain. Opioids actually do the different type of neurotransmitter in your brain. If you've ever gotten an operation, they give you a pain pill. You know, you feel kind of loopy or feel pretty decent for a while. You know, if you stay on them for 3 or 4 weeks, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're rich or poor. It doesn't discriminate. You're going to get addicted to those things. And because it's actually chemically altering your brain pathways, your neurotransmitters. We know this now from PET scans. This is not, science has actually been around for quite a little while now. And so what we have to do in drug court is you have to learn new ways of thinking. And so we get them clean, and then they have to learn new ways of thinking. And then most of these folks are criminals, so we have to get rid of their criminal addictive thinking behavior too. And things that you and I do normally, they wouldn't normally think would be the right thing to do. So that's why the program takes 2 years.
Yeah. Do you have an in-house psychiatrist that can prescribe, for instance?
No, we don't have anybody in-house as psychiatrists. We do partner with psychiatry, and we also partner with Gateway. We have several there are several people in drug court who either go to a psychiatrist for prescriptions for certain things or are already at Gateway. In fact, I have numerous people who are mandated to go to Gateway and show up at Gateway and participate because of their other mental health issues. And sometimes it's very difficult to determine what came first, the mental health or the drug abuse. So we have to kind of go back and look at school records and things of that nature.
I think one of the things you mentioned a while ago, that was Suboxone, am I correct?
I didn't mention Suboxone, but that is one of the drugs that they use, what they call for MAT. My preferred drug is Vivitrol because it can't be abused. And it doesn't have any it's a shot, it's very expensive. And they give it shot once a month, and it cannot be abused, and it just takes away all cravings. And if you were to use opiates, and naltrexone's another one, like the derivative of Narcan that you hear about, that reverses the effects of the opioid abuse. And then of course, we've always heard about methadone clinics. So again, that's not my favorite. It's cheap though, and if you have somebody who's a heroin addict, it works to get them off the heroin. If I can't I've got to get you clean in order to get you participating in treatment and recovery. That's the thought. You only use that as a temporary crutch till you heal. It's no different than walking on a crutch until you can get healed, and you get healed by reprogramming your brain to think correctly and to make good decisions. Am I right on that? Yeah, okay, I got an amen from an expert here.
Did you get the 5-year-old? Chuck White's here, and I think it was last year or the year before, when we had a real severe cold snap, we spent time in the woods trying to get homeless people out of the woods. And I drove the truck. I didn't get out in the woods. I can't stand the cold. But one thing I did notice is we have a huge population here of homeless people that have, I would think some of them would be drugs and a lot of them would be mentally.
And a lot of the homeless folks that we get, because of housing issues, then we generally will try to find them placement in.
Okay, so you would.
We would find them placement in a halfway house where they could, get clean, get a job, pay room and board, learn living skills again.
Okay.
If it's possible. Sometimes there's severe mental illness there, and it's, not much you can do.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Well, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll see you in a few minutes.
All right. Well, Nancy's coming up now, so.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Nancy Clark-Gonzalez, Chief Financial Officer, and this agenda item is for an allocation of the opioid settlement funds to drug court. And Camden County is currently a participant in the national opioid cases in the U.S. multi-district litigation based in Ohio. Our current balance of opioid funds is $171,906, and that's net of what you all approved, I think about last meeting or the meeting before, for equipment for EMS and the sheriff's office. So there's still remaining $171,000. We're averaging about $50,000 a year overall. There's some special settlements coming in, and there's also settlements, I don't know what the amounts are going to be. So with what we have right now, it's about $50,000 annually. And the proposal by drug court, which you have in your packets, is in compliance with the opioid settlement agreements. And the areas that they're looking to have additional funding for is specialized staff funding, specialized training and cross-training, expanded treatment with additional treatment providers, some MAT, as Judge Kelly had said, the medication-assisted treatment, infrastructure and technology, which would be drug testing supplies, and some technology upgrades, and also participant supports, which would be transportation assistance, basic needs and stability such as housing and job readiness programs. The total funding in the MOU is $65,000. The MOU would start in January and go through December 31st. So in that it's a $65,000 overall, it would affect the current year budget at $32,500. And then the next fiscal year, $32,500. And then it's written that they could come before you for a renewal of that contract. And if you have any questions, obviously Judge Kelly is here, and also Lisa Johnson, who works with Judge Kelly.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the requested allocation of opioid settlement funds to drug court.
Second.
We have first and a second to approve the allocation for the opioid settlement funds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, Julie, you ready?
Yeah, good evening. I'm requesting that the board approve a hazard mitigation grant through the Georgia Emergency Management Agency. The total project cost is $68,000. These funds are available to counties that were federally designated as disaster areas due to Hurricane Idalia. Funds will be used to purchase and install weather stations at the Resiliency Center, Gun Range, Fire Station 17, and St. Mary City Hall. FEMA will provide $51,000, GMA will provide $6,800, and the county is responsible for $10,200. GMA will also provide $660.50 in management cost. All match required from the county will come from the grant match budget. At this time, I would like approval to accept grant award as presented.
All right, can I get a motion on this item? I'll make the motion, we approve this item for the weather stations.
I'll second.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion?
I do have some questions. Can we ask?
Sure.
So this isn't like your average at-home you can buy at Walmart weather station, right? What do these entail? All right, Chuck.
Yeah, so this is more of an industrial level, commercial offering. So WeatherStim is a cellular reporting node, right, that can be monitored virtually, and we can present that information public-facing, internalized anywhere we need it. And we can feed it out to the broader National Weather Service integrated weather station reporting. So if you look at weather station maps, and I just had an opportunity with the chairman, and he showed me one that the University of Georgia does. This will be a reporting node just like the river gauge we have at Traders Hill in Charlton County. That's shown on the National Weather Service map. This is basically tracking barometric pressure, wind speed, wind direction, lightning detection. It's looking at, what's the current, rainfall from a gauge perspective, and all of that in kind of a dashboard, usable amount of information. And it's really critical because the county is so large that once we're starting to see, as an example, tropical storm force winds, one area of the county will say, southwest might be experiencing 25-mile-an-hour gust. It may be in Waverly that we're seeing 35-mile-an-hour gusts. So we really need to have that reporting coming back, assessing it, so we can make command-level decisions in how we basically, are delivering emergency services to the public as conditions start to change. So very industrial, very robust, a lot of capability with it, and it is national in terms of the product, and it's called WeatherStim.
So we already get like the macro level data. This will be the micro level data
Yes, sir.
that allows you to make informed
Yes, sir.
decisions. Awesome.
And it's available to the public? You know, everybody in here could access that?
Yes, sir,
data
we
at some
can, we can make it public facing, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Julie. Oh, we got a big check, huh? All right, Kelsey, you're up.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item is for your consideration to approve the surplus of vehicles and equipment that are no longer in use. Several of the vehicles and equipment are beyond repair, or it is just too costly to repair them. They will either be sold at auction through an online auction company or salvaged. The Dodge Charger is a seized vehicle that will be sold at auction. The uniforms will be donated to the high school, and the laryngoscopes will be donated to the technical college. Fire Rescue is requesting that Rescue 1 be sold to Brantley County for $25,000. Staff recommends approval to surplus the vehicles and equipment for either auction, salvage, or donation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, can I get a motion on this item?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, this is approval of the surplus item list. Any discussion?
I did have one question. And I don't even think this is a question for you, but amongst the board, at the Pro 3 soccer complex, they have those metal Quonset buildings that I do see on the surplus list. I understand we're not planning to keep them there, but is that not something that could be repurposed possibly as like a temporary animal control or like an overflow animal control, this like structure?
Well, I think if you look at those Quonset huts, and I don't know if you've ever moved a metal building, it's almost like a puzzle. Once you build it, it's screwed together. It's very difficult to take it apart and put it back together again because the screws don't line up. You're subject to leaks. It's just very difficult to do that.
That's
And for the
fair.
cost of, say, like it's usually a light frame metal building, I think we can build something new cheaper than we can take this apart and move it. So,
And use it somewhere else?
yeah, and thoughts do, if we're going to get rid of them, let's try to make a few bucks on that. Let somebody else take them down, let them be responsible for that,
Definitely.
rather than us try to move it around or demolish it or pay for demolition. If a contractor's going to demolition or demo those Quonset huts, chances are he's going to take them down and sell them anyway. So let's try to get a few bucks out of it. We may get nothing, but let's try to get something.
Right. I just knew with our challenges, I didn't know if maybe that's something that could be repurposed.
It's just difficult. I
but
mean, it's.
You make a really good point, sir.
I've moved a few metal buildings in my career.
Just a few.
Nothing ever lines back up. And it'll be a headache we just don't want to have to deal with.
Makes sense. Thank you.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Motion carries. All right, Jared, you're up.
Good evening, Commissioners. How are you guys doing tonight? Hopefully you're doing well. Unfortunately, unlike Julie, where she brings you guys money, I need to spend money. So first thing up is for the approval of a budget amendment for maintenance of county-owned recreational properties by Public Works. This is a twofold budget amendment. One would be for the capital investment to take over the parks. The other would be the operating costs for the 6 months duration from now till June 30th. The county owns 15 recreational facilities, include 9 parks, 4 boating ramps, 1 sports complex, and a nature trail. These facilities have been poorly maintained over the years, and county has terminated the maintenance services by the PSA. The county is going to be responsible for the park maintenance on January 1st, and like I spoke before, funding for this service was not allocated in this current budget, so we're looking for a budget amendment. The proposed funding will provide operating costs and payroll for 5 new employees, 1 supervisor, and 4 equipment operators through June 30th, 2025, or 2026. And the proposed capital funding would be for 3 pickup trucks, 4 zero-turn mowers, 2 landscape trailers, a utility vehicle, and miscellaneous small landscaping equipment. Additional funding will be required in 2027 fiscal year budget to continue services. So the option is the motion to approve the budget amendment for maintenance of county-owned recreational facilities by Public Works, and we're recommending that. Currently, and I have it in my last page here, currently funding in the unincorporated fund available for this is $500,434.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it with discussion.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we'll start discussion off.
Yeah, this is basically the failures of the park in the past, right? That's basically what you said. Park maintenance.
This is us terminating our services with PSA.
Right.
Or getting the services from PSA and taking it on through the Public Works facility, developing a new division that is essentially going to do that work. This is going to be a bare bones operation at the start. This is minimal equipment, minimal staffing, just to get the parks usable by the residents, and it gives us the opportunity for all of us to go into strategic planning and figuring out just exactly where we want to put our funds over the next few years towards these parks.
Also, though, it's my understanding that we're going to get some of the stuff from the PSA. Am I correct?
That is correct. But a lot of that stuff, they've been struggling to keep it going, and they've been struggling to use it on the facilities. We are going to recoup some of the equipment, so we don't have to buy it all outright. But in our opinion at Public Works and with running the fleet facility, we don't know how the vehicle and the equipment have been treated, how they've been maintained, so they could be ticking time bombs. So we're going to take them and use them as we can, try to get them as much life out of them as possible, but you know, we're hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst.
That's why the majority of the money will be next year, in next year's budget, right?
Yes, we're going to look at, like I said, just maintaining the green areas in the parks, keeping them safe, but really not being able to put any money into improving the fields, improving the competitive play on fields until we can get more investment in manpower and equipment.
Okay.
And that's funding, because I believe this will pretty much wipe out our fund balance in the unincorporated area, which is not good.
If I could ask, and only because I don't have it in front of me, how much were we budgeting for the PSA? Miss Nancy or Chairman or Sean?
I think it was somewhere around
Thing is,
500,000?
It was about 575, closer to 600 probably for this fiscal year. But I mean, that was programming and maintenance, so, and, you know, I don't really know that you can qualify or quantify that number because I think you all and the public have seen the results of that. There's just nothing happening other than grass cutting, so.
Do we know what other entities are staying in? Because I know we've pulled out.
So Colquitt County, they spend about $2.5 million a year just
Right.
on maintenance.
So is St. Mary's and Kingsland staying in the PSA? Or is Woodbine staying in
well,
the PSA?
it all depends on what you mean by staying in the PSA.
Well, okay.
They're staying in the PSA.
As far as maintenance of parks?
No, nobody.
Nobody's staying in for maintenance of
Nobody's
parks.
staying in.
What happens to the SPOS money we allocated in the referendum?
That is going to have to be, ultimately, the PSA is going to have to receive it, and then, just like we had done for the county parks, where the county went in and basically led the projects as far as resurfacing all the courts, whatever various projects we so choose that we need to do on those parks, the county will front the money, and then the PSA will reimburse the county, just like we did in SPOS State.
So I see that for the.
Has to be an IGA for that mechanism to occur, so.
This is probably a question again for you, Jared. So I see the 3 trucks, the 4 zero-turns, 3 trailers, and then 1 kind of utility vehicle for the, and plus hiring staff comes out to about $485,000. What sort of equipment and how much more staff are we looking to hire in fiscal year '27? Or is this just the next 6 months?
No, so, yes, on that breakout that you have, fiscal year '27 would be increasing the staffing by 2. Ideally, we would add a parks maintenance worker that would basically maintain and make sure that we're keeping up all the mending the fences, and that is, they're doing the safety studies on all of our playground equipment, making sure that the ball fields and that are all in safe play, and they will have a service truck so they will have the tools and equipment to make those repairs on site as needed. It's also an additional building tech that would work under facility maintenance to maintain all of the vertical buildings and making sure that any HVAC, any plumbing and electrical is all being maintained and kept up when there's issues.
And about how much more additional equipment amounts to the 476?
So the 470 is going to be a lot of your ball field and athletic field equipment, maintaining equipment that we just don't have at this time, and we would need to move forward to make sure that the fields are at the terms of all the stages that they need to be played on.
Okay. After fiscal year '27, when do you anticipate us having another large purchase of equipment?
Somewhere between 3 and 4 years, most likely pushing it to 4. We're seeing with our right-of-way mowing that, our equipment is getting beat up and needing to be replaced at end of year 3 going into 4. We anticipate that, and through the parks, we'll be able to maintain the parks at a better clip. It's not as rough terrain. We are looking to pull a couple of the older zero-turns, so that way the areas like the disc golf area that is a rougher terrain to maintain, we're going to use the older equipment to maintain those areas and not beat up the new equipment, so that way we can get a longer lifespan out of that equipment. So the goal is to try to make that initial investment last as long as possible before we have to go through and start re-upping that equipment as we need it.
So in fiscal year '28, we shouldn't expect another $1 million?
No, fiscal year '28, you really should look at more just operating expenses and maybe 1 or 2 small pieces of equipment as needed that we find out when we get into these parks that there's a specific item that we need for this park because of just the uniqueness of keeping it up.
Okay.
A lot of your questions will be answered when we go through strategic planning.
Oh, okay, fair enough. One last question though, real quick.
Yes.
Have we anticipated how much we're going to be spending for the programming? Again, probably not directed towards you, but it's like an overall parks question for the programming to the PSA.
So the county's portion of what we pay into the PSA right now will be reduced by almost 170,000. It might be just over 160, I think, but yeah, that's for the
For the
full-
remainder of this fiscal year, it'll be reduced by, I believe it was either 135 or 139, just through June.
Yeah, but for the calendar year, it'd be closer to 170, so, whether or not, we're gonna be, it's very well known that each of the entities subsidize recreation, just every government, does that inherently, but,
So will it be comparable, like what the county's going to be spending annually after we get through the big purchases on equipment? Will we be spending comparable to what we were giving the PSA previously? Is that supposed to equal out? I'm just trying
no,
to.
you're gonna be spending a lot more.
It all depends on what level of service do you want to provide for these parks. If you want to keep it at the same level of the PSA, then yeah, it'll probably kind of equal out. But the hope is that we'll fund the parks at a higher level where we can maintain the parks at a higher level.
But potentially, there could be more money for capital improvements once we figure out what to do with the referendum money, correct?
What referendum?
the money that's supposed to be going to the PSA for capital improvements, park improvements.
As well, so there's a level 2 allocation specifically for local park rehabilitation, that's 10 million. The discussions during SPLOST was for that money to be split amongst 4 parks that serve, true recreation programming such as, baseball, softball, football, those fields. For us, that'd be Howard Peoples Park. The 1.385 million that the PSA is getting for local park rehabilitation, the discussions have been to split that back out amongst the entities based on the population split, or it's not population, but based off of the SPLOST splits that were agreed upon out of SPLOST 9. So I don't remember what our portion would be, but I want to say it's north of 400-something thousand.
Okay. Well, Jared, I know you did put a lot of work into this, so I'm gonna trust your judgment. Thank you.
All right, any more discussion?
Quick question, the 139,000, that's accounted for in the expenditure, right? That we're gonna get back from PSA?
Yes. When I estimated the 500,000 remaining,
Yes.
I factored that in, that there would be a reduction to the PSA.
Okay, thanks.
You have something? All right, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank y'all.
All right, the next item in front of you is for the approval of a contract award for Woodbine Lions Park Baseball Field Fence Installation Project. This is Woodbine Lions Park has two poorly maintained grass infield practice baseball fields with backstop fencing. These fields have been woefully underutilized by the PSA and provided little use for competitive baseball teams. Numerous requests and inquiries have been made to the county staff in improving these fields for competitive play. And funding in the amount of $50,000 was allocated in SPLOST 8 for park improvements, and the remaining funding will come from impact fees. So just the facts is purchasing completed a competitive bid process, received 2 bids from qualified contractors. This bid includes the installation of 2 Little League baseball fields with 225-foot outfield fences, dugouts, foul poles, and outfield polycaps. Field grading and alignment will be performed by Public Works. And South Georgia Fencing and Decking is a local vendor and has previously completed projects for the county with positive results. So the motion in front of you is to approve the contract with South Georgia Fencing and Decking for fence installation services in the amount of $99,901.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second, with discussion.
Okay. All right, this is to award the contract. Now, we're going with South, who was that?
South Georgia Fencing.
South Georgia
Decking.
Fencing. Okay. All right. All right, any discussion?
Real briefly, I've been hearing about this park. I've gotten several calls myself, even though it's yours, and I get that. No, it's in,
Yeah, we've
Robbie's
certainly
district.
had some activity lately that people want to use the park, but we got to improve it to the level where they can actually competitively play.
There
So
is
this is the
no-
next step
there basically is only grass there, right?
right now today, yes. Now,
Alright.
Public Works has done some work on the field already, but this is just to do the fencing and some other things to get it closer to a playable level.
Okay, this is just for fencing and
Yes.
dugout, so it's not doing anything with the infield?
Well,
Okay.
All the infield work is going to be done by Public Works.
Yep.
We're going to bring clay in, improve the infield. We already purchased the bases and everything else. And then we're also going to add soils to the outfield to level them out and get them to drain properly. There is no good drainage on that property. We're going to create a swale in between the 2 ball diamonds so the fields shed water correctly off of the field and out to the drainage.
Okay, but the fence and the dugout and what else was it?
The foul poles, the polycaps for the fencing,
All of that's
backstop, all of this is in this project.
Basically 100,000.
For two 225-foot outfield
Okay.
ball fields.
and hopefully in the future, we can add some restrooms out there when we
Yeah,
get some
and,
funding.
moving forward, we've got to do some restrooms and some other things. It's just one step further along to get to where we need to be.
Miss Nancy, if we spend the $49,901 out of impact fees, what would be the remainder balance that we have available for fiscal year '26? I apologize, I don't have it in front of me.
So that's out of the impact fees?
Yes,
I believe that there is about 170,000 allocated for recreation. There's probably close to 800,000 in impact fees, but it's very specific, the different areas that those expenditures could be made for, such as like public safety, library, et cetera.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you're welcome.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
All right, last thing I have in front of you, gentlemen, is the approval of a bid award for mosquito control services. The county has subcontracted mosquito control services for several years now. VDCI has provided these services to the county since 2021. Request for proposal was solicited in November, and only one qualified bid was received. Mosquito control services bid includes an extensive mosquito control program that offers more services than specified in the RFP. Mosquito control services was the lowest responsible bidder at $253,128 per year, plus estimated chemicals at roughly $55,000 per year. This is a one-year contract with 4 one-year renewals. It's similar to the contract that we're just coming off of with them. The company rents a local office here in Camden County. We've had very good working relationship with them. Their staff has worked in Camden County doing mosquito control for over 20 to 30 years. They know where to target, and they know where to monitor when we have our ups and down seasons. They do reach out to us after storm events to get on the same page. And anytime when we have the monthly reports, if there's some outlier that's happening or an uptick, they communicate with us exactly what their plan of action is to correct the issue. So they've been very proactive in their services with us, and we would look to approve this contract.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to accept.
Second. We've got a first and a second to award the bid for mosquito control services. Any discussion?
Probably a question for Jared. I know this is coming off of a similar contract that we just had. Is there much of an increase compared to what we were paying
So
previously?
the 5-year contract we had was very similar. It was the first 1 year at this rate, and then a 2% increase every year.
Okay.
So the rate that we had with them went up 2% over the last 5 years. I know everybody knows nothing went and just increased 2% over the last 5 years. So this contract is roughly 12% higher than the original contract in '01. So it is really on par with exactly what, you would expect in the industry.
Is there going to be a 2% increase every
Again,
year?
yes. Every year it'll be a 2% increase in the funding. And we budget for that in our funding every year out of Public Works.
All right. And one more question for Miss Nancy. It says funding source, but it just has like the actual account number. Which accounts are those?
That is an actual Public Works mosquito control department
Very
funding.
much. Appreciate it,
So
guys.
one is for the actual contract services, while the other one is strictly for the chemicals.
Chemicals. Thank you.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, Chuck, you ready?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I come before you this evening to request approval of a contract between Camden County and Everbridge, Inc. for the purpose of providing a cloud-based mass notification system service. Our history, Camden County Emergency Management is responsible for all hazards planning and preparedness to include public alerting for urgent and emergency communications. Camden County has, since circa 2016, used a system called Code Red, which most everyone is familiar with. Our background and facts. Code Red, owned by a company now called Crisis 24, notified Camden County that a cybersecurity incident had occurred and that Code Red system would be taken offline. As a result of coming offline, the second hit to us was the fact that FEMA, through the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, removed the digital certificate from Code Red, meaning that we effectively have no emergent or urgent way to reach out in a mass way to communicate with the public. I'm requesting today that we approve this, and we have a sense of urgency here, given that we need a robust, secure, and capable software platform to provide mass notification as well as both externally and for our internal stakeholders. I strongly recommend we approve this. Our budget expenses on this would be $19,723. Of course, they will prorate the cost, so that we basically, this contract would effectively start tomorrow and run until June 30th. July 1, we would have been renewing the Code Red software contract anyway at roughly the exact same amount, roughly $19,000. Funding sources for this, it is both a budgeted amount, typically for the fiscal year, although we're taking a $10,000 hit on this, given the failure by Code Red. And additionally, we share costs with the City of St. Mary's and with the City of Kingsland in the amount of $4,850 through each of them for the system, and I recommend approval.
All right, can I get a motion on this item? I'll make the motion that we approve this.
Yeah, I second.
We got a first and a second to approve the contract with Everbridge. Any discussion?
You did say our cost is going to be $48.50?
No, sir. We share the cost in this. The software itself is $19,723. We share the cost with the two cities, but we're the dominant player in this, given that the cities cannot fully utilize the platform, including the IPAWS federally authorized process within it. So we're kind of the master holder of it as emergency management, and so we take the bulk of that cost in it. The cities, though, each do cost share back, and that gets us roughly to about 40% of the cost.
Okay, so our cost is around $9,000 then?
For this FY, yes, sir, that's a hit we'll take. It's a little north of $9,000.
Okay.
What will it be in fiscal year '27?
It'll be $19,000.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The City of Woodbine doesn't participate?
In my 9 years, there's never been an alert request from the City of Woodbine for any communication to the public in Woodbine.
Okay.
So the answer, no, sir.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank you all.
Motion carries. Okay, Joey, there you are. I was looking for you.
Thank you,
out there.
Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, I'm requesting a change order approval for the installation of electrical power on a booster pump control panel, which is located at the new Camden County Department of Health building. Now, after the installation of this pump, Georgia Power has requested that we run the electrical line in a different route to the booster pump, which will add an additional, additional 200 foot to this power. Now, under the original plan, the pump would have been wired to a service meter, which was located about 15 foot from the booster pump control panel. But under the new plan, it will be wired straight into the new building, which in return will not cost us a monthly meter fee. So we'll save that money every month. So with saying that, staff recommends approval on this change order.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
This is a motion to approve the change order. We're going to reroute some electrical power. Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, next item is appointment to the Camden County Public Service Authority. We may end up with 4 open positions because Woodbine is dropping out of the PSA. So we're going to seek some further clarification on that from the PSA attorney. But right now, we needed 2 appointments, and we'll do these appointments one at a time.
Mr. Chair?
So can I get a nomination for the
Yes, sir.
first position?
I move to consider Mr. Ryan Levy for a PSA position.
Anybody wish to second that?
Anybody at all?
Okay, there's no second on that, so that one fails. Anybody else got a nomination?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Jimmy Smith Jr. for the PSA position.
All right, we got a nomination for Mr. Smith. I think he's on there now. This is a reappointment for
Yeah,
him.
that's correct, sir.
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion on Mr. Smith being reappointed?
If we're so dissatisfied with the PSA service, why are we reappointing people to that same board? Isn't the people running it that you're dissatisfied with?
Say again, I couldn't hear you.
If we're so dissatisfied with the performance of the PSA, why would we reappoint someone when isn't it the people running it that we are disappointed in?
I'm not dissatisfied with the board. I'm on that board, actually.
Right.
I think the board is doing the best they can with what they got in front of them. We had to make some changes, and they did. They made some tough changes. So Jimmy Smith is extremely qualified to be on this board, but, I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
We got a first and second for Mr. Smith.
Right, and I'm willing to consider that. I just hope on the next one we will consider Mr. Levy. He has some of the most expansive recreational experience, including working at the MWR Kings Bay Military Parks and Recreation. So I think he would be an asset if we'll consider him for the next position.
Okay.
We'll see if it comes up. All right, all in favor of Mr. Smith? Okay. All right. So Mr. Smith is back on. All right, do we have a nomination for the second position?
Mr. Chair, I move to nominate Ryan Levy for the second position, please.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we got a second on Mr. Levy. All right, any discussion on him?
I don't know him. Can you give background?
Yes, I can. So, and I've gone through all 30 applications. This is, he's involved with the soccer club. That's actually how I met him at the beginning of that controversy. But I was extremely impressed. He's spent 12 years working at MWR Kings Bay in the Military Parks and Recreation. He has a BBA in sports management. He's CPR certified, CARPA certified ×2. Don't ask me what that means. And he won NRPA Gold Medal Award. I'm assuming that has something to do with recreation, National Recreation and Parks Association.
Is he in your district?
He is in my district.
Okay.
But he's probably overqualified for what we would need.
We got nearly 30 applicants, and I mean, like in District 2, we had, I think, 13 lawyers, nurses. One lady's the training administrator for Lockheed Martin. We got some really qualified people that tried, that wanted to be on this board. So I can. You already seconded it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he'd be an incredible asset, and I would appreciate y'all's support.
Okay.
All right, we got a first and second for Mr. Levy. All in favor?
Gotcha.
All
Thank you,
he's
Board.
On the board. All right, this brings us to reappointment to the Camden County Board of Tax Assessors for District 1. Can I get a motion on that?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend Arden Jones to be appointed to the Board of Assessors. She's currently serving and has agreed to serve again.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to second his motion.
We have first and second. This is for a reappointment for the Camden County Board of Tax Assessors. All in favor?
That's already, you said
it was already? Yeah, they're already there. This would be a continuation. All right, item number 11, who's doing that?
I'll do that one, Chairman, although Judge Kelly probably knows much more about this bill than I do,
Yeah.
considering it affects his salary. So this is regarding the locality pay for Superior Court judges. This is House Bill 85 that passed this past General Assembly. Basically, my understanding of the bill, and Judge Kelly, please feel free to correct me if I misquote anything, but my understanding of the bill was to basically standardize Superior Court judges' pay throughout the state. It's pretty, variations of it. Different counties doing different types of supplements across the state, so this is more of a standardization, and Judges who were in office prior to July 1st of this year have the option, whether they choose to continue on with the local supplement or whether they choose to go with the locality pay option. The locality pay option for us, right now, we're paying about $1,500 per month to each Superior Court judge and a supplement. And by the way, Judge Scarlett and the judges of our circuit are requesting to go to the locality pay, which would reduce that supplement to only $453 per month. So it's actually a big benefit to each of the counties. This fiscal year, it'll reduce their portion of their budget by is just over $33,000. The next fiscal year would be just over $66,000. Judge, I don't know if I misquoted anything.
I'm happy to answer any questions. It's not too often you have an elected official asking for reductions.
You're not taking a huge pay cut, are
I
you?
saw that. That's amazing.
No? Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Well, eventually, I guess I'll come here real quick. The state, eventually, the state has a plan to have all Superior Court judges paid totally by the state. And so so the bill has it, so as the state increases our pay in the future, then the locality pay, they've changed the name from supplement to locality pay. Locality pay right now can be no more than 10%, and then it gets reduced at so if they increase our salary in the state by $2,000, then locality pay has to come down $1,000. So eventually, it'll probably be 5 or 10 years from now or something, but eventually Superior Court judges will be totally paid by the state of Georgia, and they'll all be paid the same. But there was, prior to this, there were circuits that it was a huge difference in salary amongst Superior Court judges around the state, and they're seeking to equalize that. So we appreciate your support.
All right, thank you. All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the reduction in supplement for Superior Court judge in accordance with House Bill 85.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, this brings us to the next item. This is the memorandum of understanding with the Joint Development Authority for funding. We've all read that. Anybody wish to make a motion on this?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the Joint Development Authority Memorandum of Understanding as it's presented.
All right, do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, anybody want to start the discussion?
I will. You don't mind. You know, one thing that this county, and I've said this over and over and over again, is over the past 25 years, we have lost 4 industries. You know, we lost a paper mill, we lost a bag plant, we lost Union Carbide and Bear Property. To me, the job of the Joint Development Authority is to bring those industries, not necessarily just those, but bring back industry, as well as, in my opinion, lighter industries as well. We have lost a lot of land. The property across 95, what's Ceylon? We lost all of that tax revenue. We are also in the process of trying to keep taxes as low as we can, but all we have are rooftops. You know, we don't have that many industries. I get what John said. I agree with you. I want to see some action. I want to see some things happen. January the 6th, unless Mr. Jacoby pays that money back, which is somewhere around $12 to $15 million, or he pays that money for that property, he's going to lose that property. It will come back to the Joint Development Authority. It's going to be their responsibility to go out and find some industry to make up for what we've lost in those areas, all of it. You know, I know, and also I know we lost over 4,000 jobs. I also know from a leakage report that Georgia Power puts out that most of our workforce leaves Camden County to go to work. We need jobs here. So I I would like to see more communication between the JDA and the Board of Commissioners and the community. And I think you guys realize that from the last meeting we had, because we discussed that. There are certain things they can't talk about, but there are certain things that they can. And all of those things that you can, you need to spill over into the community so that the community would know it. And that's my opinion. Whether you like it or don't like it, I can't help. I know we need industry. And because if we don't have it, we're going to be at 85-15 as far as our ratio goes, which means 85% of all the tax revenue we receive is going to come from me, you, anybody that owns a home. I don't want to see that. I want to see some industry. So that's my opinion. And I want to give you what you think you need for that to happen.
Well, the only problem is where are we going to get the money?
Right, I see
Right
here.
now, we're going to have to use fund balance for anything.
Well, I think we basically have already accepted this year. Am I correct? This year's pretty much a wash.
Well, with no tax increase, that's why we're in such bad shape with the parks, funding anything going forward that was part of our strategic plan is going to have to be used by fund balance if we go forward with those.
Right.
So I can't support that this year.
I get it. I get it. But we need to move forward. Right now, our fund balance is sitting around 27%. Am I right? Okay, around 27%. And we can't get below 25. That's exactly right. Yeah, I found out the hard way that we basically are an accrued bookkeeping system, but that's okay. As long as we maintain that 25% and don't get below it, I think we're okay. And you can do that with the other 2%.
I definitely support what the JDA stands for, but I am inclined to agree with Ben. Ms. Nancy just said at the end of fiscal year 26, so we're talking June next year, right? We're only going to be at 27% fund balance. If we're looking to try to keep taxes as low as possible, we don't have a way to replenish that fund balance in fiscal year 27, do we?
I looked at it. You basically, I mean, you're talking about rooftops.
Right.
You know, that's where our income's coming from. You're going to have 1,200 homes on exit 1. You got 750 sitting straight across from the high school now, which would basically should generate somewhere around $4 to $8 million as far as that goes. I mean,
Yeah, when they're all built.
when they're
It
built.
won't happen in the next year.
Well, some of it will. Some of it will. We haven't had an increase. I've been in office for 3 years. And we've had an increase, I think, all 3 of those years. You know, and I think we'll have an increase this time as well.
That 27% is kind of a thin margin, Martin.
25, we were at 30 when I first took office.
Well, right, and I believe we were at 30 when I first took office, and we had to take a tan because that fund balance is what carried us through until the tax bills came in.
That's exactly right. But the only reason that happened is because they didn't send the bills out in time.
Right, but we utilized that to carry us through until tax bills come in. So through half of our fiscal year, we do spend fund balance.
Yeah.
And as it stands right now, but until January 7th, it's actually kind of low. So I think without a plan to replenish the fund balance, if we decide to do this, we're not going to have any rainy day. Like, I know we can't keep calling it a rainy day fund, but we're not going to have any emergency money.
Well, the MOU that you're doing, you've already approved this year. You've already approved that. You would have to approve it again next year. I mean, you can always take another look at it. But I personally,
Well, when you agree to a 5-year contract, basically, you're kind of stuck with it.
well,
And there's no telling what this board will do next year with taxes.
So I see in your plan that you worked on putting together, I know you worked really hard on this, and I do appreciate that. There's a plan to eventually tie it to the digest in a way. Is that correct? Like, could you help me
Yeah, I think the
understand?
discussion is, back to what Martin was saying, the more industrial tax base we get,
larger the digest will grow.
It increases the digest, which reduces the residential tax burden. That's kind of what Martin was getting at, so.
And that's
part-
why I
that's part
do
of the
support what
issue.
they do, because I agree with that, right? If you don't have another tax revenue source, then it's going to come off of rooftops. Absolutely.
Well, one of the reasons that we've lost some industry here is because we don't have the infrastructure for it. We've either got to get that done or not, and then we just become a retirement home.
Well, part of this whole increase in the budget is to get to the point where we do have infrastructure and something for the
Right.
JDA to sell, which is on the ground. And you look at our neighbors to the north, Glenn County, they've got thousands of acres available to sell through their development authority. We basically have nothing.
They're still building, though. If you go down 17 like you're going to Darien and look at what they're doing on 17, it's amazing.
Exactly. That's the development authority doing that. It's
but
not private industry.
They're having to create infrastructure as they go.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of our big issues over the past has been, if somebody comes into town and says, we want let's say 10 acres, doesn't matter where, the questions are, how long can you get me water, sewer, permits, all those sorts of things. Without product and infrastructure, we're behind the curve already. They're just gonna go somewhere else.
Right.
So to get them product, which I understand this budget increase is really water, sewer, drainage, rail crossing. It's not really geared toward additional staff, trucks, travel, the what we would call administrative cost for the year. This is for infrastructure cost to get to where we have a product to sell. And we don't have anything right now. We've got, what, one lot left in the industrial park? Or not? I mean, I really don't know. So we don't, the JDA does not own any property that's functional, because these people coming into town for industrial, commercial development are not gonna wait on us 2 or 3 or 4 years to give them something. We've got to get ahead of that curve, and that's what this is all about.
The recommendation when I went through all my classes I went through was 25%. They told you try not to go below 25. It's not a law by any means, but try not to go below 25%. I get that. And I didn't even know at that time that basically we were accrued rather than a cash operating. But we shouldn't be going below 25%, and I don't think we are.
Our fund balance has been a lot lower in the past, and
Right.
and that was scary. We don't want to.
No, we do
don't wanna
not.
get there.
I
And rooftops, sometimes rooftops end up costing governments more than what we get from them. So you can't just bank on they're building a bunch of houses.
I get it.
So now, if they brought in, some big box stores like Sam's or Costco or something like that, that would help out.
JDA, can you
Some
please
kind of
bring us a
industry.
Costco? Could you please work on getting us a Costco? I'd appreciate that. So I would ask among this, yes, sir. I would ask among this board, if we are inclined to give it one more go again with supporting the JDA in this way, I would ask that maybe we limit some of our economic development activities so that we're not double taxing the citizens as far as what their economic development money is going to. I say we vest all of our economic development authority to the authority. And maybe, I know the airport was touted as an economic development tool at one point. I think we should let the JDA make that decision. As far as in any other development decision, let's let them do what they're supposed to do.
All right, any more discussion about the JDA? All right, we got a first and a second to approve the memorandum of understanding. All in favor? I'll abstain, 'cause I really can't support it this year, but passes. All right, next item. We need direction on the proceeding of the construction of the 5 stand at the Two Rivers Gun Range. Who's presenting that, Sean, or is that just up for us to vote?
That's just up for you all to vote.
Okay, can I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I move, and this is actually in relation to previous advice we've received from council, to postpone this item until pending litigation surrounding the gun range has been settled. I don't believe it'd be inappropriate for us to speak about something that's pending in court.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second to postpone this item. Any discussion on that?
For how long?
Until the pending legal matter in court would be settled. I would hate for us as a board to take an action and commit money and funds and start moving something forward when we do not know.
Well, we've already accepted the grant money for this.
And I believe when I spoke to the administrator last in one of these meetings, he said, we haven't received any money, it's a reimbursable grant, so we haven't spent any money or received any money.
But
Is
the
that
grant's
correct?
been approved.
I do want to clarify, yeah, so we have received the grant. You know, we will not receive any money until we submit
money.
invoices to DNR so that we can be reimbursed. However, that money has been federally allocated to the county, and there is a ticking timetable on when we have to spend that money. So, you know, depending upon how long this litigation matter may take, the board may end up getting to the point, if you continue to further and further delay, that you're just going to have to reject the grant and all.
Does council have any advice on moving forward with this?
So I can certainly discuss the litigation, as we had not had a chance to discuss that specifically in executive session, so I did intend to bring that up, and that will be addressed. But as far as, my recommendation right now would be that if the board wishes to discuss the issue of the 5-stand, we can discuss the current pending litigation and any impact related to that, and maybe that the best course of action might be to table that discussion for right now and bring it back up after executive session, if that is an option to consider. Because if there's a concern about the impact of litigation, I wish to discuss that with you, and that would be done in chambers.
I just know you've warned us before, and I don't want to overstep.
That was specifically, that was related to separate litigation, and it was because of the nature of the discussion happening.
Okay.
All right, right now, we got a first and a second to postpone this. If there's no more discussion, all in favor of that? All right. All oppose it, so that's 4-1. All right, this brings us to approval of the rebid for the multi-sport complex. All right, how do y'all want to proceed with that?
Mr. Chairman, I think there's two motions we need to entertain. Yes, there is. One is to reject the bid we've already received. So I would make a motion that we reject the existing bid for the multi-use sports complex.
I'll second your motion.
All right, we got a first and a second to reject the bid. Do we have any discussion on that? All in favor? All right, now do we have a motion to approve the request to rebid the multi-sports complex?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we rebid the multi-use sports complex as a base bid with the following conditions. One is we remove the 10% contingency line item from the original bid. Number two is we remove the mobilization line item from the original bid. Number three is we remove the demolition of the Quonset hut structure based on the potential to sell those, so we take that out of the bid. We remove the playground from the bid, and we also remove anything, all work related within the mini golf course complex. So we got 5 things we want to remove. The mini golf, 10% contingency, the mobilization, demolition of the Quonset huts. Now, that's just the vertical construction, not the slabs. And remove the playground. And then rebid it as a base bid with no alternates.
That's your motion? That was your motion?
To rebid under those conditions, yes.
I'll second that so we can discuss, because I have some questions about that particular property. My first question being, aside from the Quonset huts, there's also a, like a metal container with, looks like a makeshift roof kind of next to the existing building there. Is that planned to be removed? I just never saw what it looked like on the concept plan.
There's a couple metal containers out there where, in relation to the existing building there now, where are you
To the
referring?
left-hand side a little bit. Where? If you're looking at what used to, you know what I'm talking
Looks
about.
like an old shipping container.
Yes, that'll be
That would
removed.
be removed.
That'll be
That'll be
removed.
All that's, yeah, all that'll go away.
And just, in that existing building, what do we have planned for that in the concept plan? Like, what is the plan for that in the?
That building was left out of the scope of work for this, because the PSA at the time when we scoped all of this was still utilizing that facility.
So as it stands, that building would stay in existence, correct?
Until the board further clarifies what y'all want to do with it.
Do we know when the PSA is going to officially be out of that location?
My understanding is they're working on a plan right now to get those employees out of that facility and back over to the main PSA building.
And their equipment?
All the equipment of the PSAs will be gone from the property probably within the next couple of months. Now, the actual building, there's a couple of employees that work out of that building, and they have some of their athletic equipment there. That's planning to be moved probably in the first quarter of next year. I don't know if they're going to be able to meet that timetable, but I think they can, so.
Yeah, I don't think we need to kick them out anytime soon because of that.
I was just using this opportunity to ask questions about that because I had, but yeah. So I like the direction we're going, putting it back out for bid, reducing the scope of work, and hopefully getting some more palatable bids back.
All right, any more discussion? I prefer doing everything all at once and doing it right, but that's just my preference.
I'd like to defer to our chief engineer.
All right, we got a first and second on that, to rebid it with those conditions. All in favor? I'll oppose that one as well. All right, this brings us to our final public comment section of the night. We're limited to 3 minutes. Any registered speakers?
What, did you want to do the calendar and county administrator report?
Sure.
Well, there's no changes to the calendar, I can tell you that.
I have no comments, Chairman.
No.
All right, Mr. David Smith.
David Smith, St. Mary's, Georgia. Thank you, Board. I would like to say that when the fiasco with the millage rate went down, I was very surprised. I know that most of the members up there, or I believe all of you, want to operate within the Georgia Sunshine Law. But then I was confused on how it turned out. And I went to the Monday morning thing, and I started hearing stuff that the defense sounded confusing and talking about pre-meetings. And then it clicked to me. The thing is, you guys deal with a lot of laws, ordinances, such, and most all are written by lawyers. And personally, I believe lawyers write in what's called word problems. In fact, I think there's people still missing in the United States because they got directions by lawyers. So I just wanted to help you out. And I brought a little flow chart. This flow chart here is pretty much, I named it Meeting 101. So when a business item comes forth, it comes from either like a commission, a staff, or obligation, like with the millage rate is yearly obligation. They have to evaluate it and decide what they're going to do. Well, that goes to an agenda setting committee. What they do is they put it on the agenda for a future board, or they say no and it goes back and is determined what to do. We're not going to talk about the no right now. Let's move forward so it gets a yes to be on the agenda, it goes to agenda, and then it goes to the board. Board could do various things. This here is normal for any business item. Board could do various things. They could say no, they could say no, send it back, let's take a look at it in the future, or yes. Well, in the case that we're talking about with the millage rate, there's a few options, but what they're looking at is, does it raise taxes or does it not raise taxes? That leads to two options. If what you're planning to move forward with doesn't raise taxes, then you approve it and it goes forward ready to be implemented. If it does raise taxes, then what they were looking at sends it to a notice. Then you have public hearing number 1, 2, 3, then it goes back to the board to be voted on. Right here, it's a proposal. So when they take a phone call, they're skipping all of that and going right to the notice. And I think what it is the final approval doesn't come till after this, which is not normal. I truly believe that you guys felt, well, all we have to do is come to consensus, we'll do the notice, and go
Your
through
time's
that.
up, sir.
But really, you have to go through normal process. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Anybody from the public wish to speak?
I don't think some of you heard what I said at the beginning. There's an airport that we used to have. JDA got a hold of that property, and they promised a lot of things out there. Weren't you guys listening? Nothing's happened out there except a lumber yard, and it's got sewage, it's got water. We are going to be a bedroom community, whether you think so or not, because we're not going to have the industry move in here with all the building that's going on. I'm going to keep an eye on JDA, and I hope you guys do too, see what they bring in here. Pay attention what they bring in here. I agree with the chairman as far as the sports complex. It needs to be done all at once. Once you got the heavy equipment here on site, it's a lot better to go ahead and get it done rather than do piecemeal, because it's going to cost money to bring in that heavy equipment just to the bathrooms. Bring in that heavy equipment later to do the parking lot. Bring it back into whatever. Get it done at one time and get it over with, rather than saying you can't have practice today because we got heavy equipment coming in. I agree with the chairman, get it done all at one time. Again, I say, pay attention to the JDA, because they haven't done anything with the airport. They ain't doing much out here at the industrial property. Let's see what they do from here on with these millions of dollars that they're getting. I'm going to calm down. I appreciate every one of you, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, John. All right, Mr. Manning, you wanted to speak?
One quick thing while my light was fixing to turn red last time. I would like to remind y'all, when you go back and start talking about me back there, that you signed an agreement right here with DNR, Wildlife Resources. And in this agreement, 16.8, in the enjoyment of the rights and privileges herein granted by the department to the county shall at all times comply with all applicable laws of the state of Georgia and of the United States, all applicable rules and regulations pursuant to any and all such laws, and all applicable local ordinances, including but not limited to codes, ordinances, and standards of the county. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but you signed an agreement. You're breaking your agreement. Wonder what the DNR is going to say.
All right, anybody else? All right, hearing none, now we need a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene an executive session for the purpose of litigation.
Make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting to convene executive session.
I'll second.
All right, got a first and a second. All in favor? All right, we'll be back. we adjourn the executive session and reconvene the regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn the executive session and reconvene the regular meeting.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second to reconvene the regular meeting. All in favor? There was no action taken or needs to be taken from the executive session, so can we have a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor? We're done.